Hopefully you can hear me over the AC, but I can't turn the AC off, it's just too hot. So we got an issue going on surrounding the fuel. So obviously you guys have been following along with all the installs and everything. And I came down here to just check the fluids, and I was going to do some polishing on the port tank. Not real polishing, but just some filtering and some flowing of fuel to really remove water and do some filtering. Because on this, I'm only using this port filter. You know, I've got the selectable ones, but I only use this one. I never touched this one, but it's primed and ready to go. So I was doing the polishing, sucking fuel out from the engine-driven pump into a larger pump that was out on the deck, and then I had it run into the deck fill, which is actually, let me see if you can see it here, right back there in the back. Let me see. I don't know if you can see it. It's back there somewhere. All right, so basically had fuel coming out here, going through that pump out there and to the engine-driven fuel pump, being sucked out with even more force through a larger pump, and then routed back into the deck fill. And so I started that polishing process, and initially I had both of these on. They were both up, and everything was flowing just fine. And then of course I wanted to come down here and select only the port tank. So this one was up, and this one was down, essentially shutting off the starboard tank, and this one was up. So selecting only fuel coming in to the manifold, going out through the rate core, and it was going through the rate core, and the vacuum was going way up into the red. So I checked the deck fill and see what kind of fuel was coming out of there. There was fuel coming out, but I had massive vacuum backing up when selecting only the port tank. So what I did is I closed the port tank, opened the starboard tank, and that vacuum dropped all the way down to nearly zero, and a ton of fuel was coming out, and I still had it plumbed into the port deck fill. So then I came back here and shut this one and reopened this one and looked at the vacuum, and the vacuum would climb again, and the fuel flow going into the deck fill with my hose routing would drop way off again. So that told me that there's nothing wrong with this filter. The filter wasn't clogged, because when I opened this one and shut this one, the vacuum would drop. There's nothing wrong with the filter, no clog in the filter. But then when I shut this one and opened this one, knowing that there's nothing wrong with the filter, I had high vacuum. So that leads you to believe that it's from this line to the tank. So this line right here goes to, let me see here, that line right there. So I disconnected that line right there, and disconnected that line right there, and just blew through it, and it was fine. There's nothing, no blockage in the line. So then I hooked up that line again and bent this one out a little bit so I could blow through it. Took a little bit of force for about 2 or 3 seconds, and then it released, and I could hear bubbles in the tank where that pickup is. That is the pickup right there. So I could hear bubbles blowing right around there in the pickup, or the bottom of the tank, of course, which was probably where the pickup would be. So then I knew, and then okay, I blew it out, and it seemed to be okay. So I hooked it back up here, and then resumed, knowing full well at that time that wasn't going to be a fix, but I just wanted to see if there was something in there that I blew out. And it flowed for a little bit, and then resumed gaining high vacuum. So that tells you that there is something being picked up in the bottom of the tank. I then used a borescope, one of those cheap USB borescopes, to put down the deck fill to try to look into the tank, and I submerged it right into the fuel. It's no problem. They work fine. They're waterproof, and yeah, you might sacrifice your little cheap borescope, endoscope, but it's alright. It was worth it. And I could see lots of stuff floating around in there. Now this side is also the side that always had the deck fill, or always had water coming out of it. Every time I would isolate the port tank, I would always get a little bit of water, and I'd rock the boat and I'd get a little more water. So this always had water in it, and I finally figured out what it was. It was the deck fill The O-ring looked fine, but the threads were boogered up, so it was never seating properly. So I changed the deck fill, took the old deck fill home, and I'll demonstrate that in just a second in another video or an attachment here, and tested that deck fill by turning it upside down in a cup and pouring water into the top of the deck fill, and it just immediately started just drip, 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 water coming out. So for a long time, and this is a new tank to this boat anyway, it's probably about 5 years old. So I think for a long time this tank had water in it, and almost certainly has microbial growth, and who knows what else it has in it. When I put the boroscope in there, I was able to see a few things here and there that certainly aren't supposed to be in a fuel tank. It's hard to make out what it is or the size of it. Boroscope always makes things look very huge when actually a lot of times they're very small. But so now that leaves me, I have to gain access to this tank. Obviously there is no room up there to gain access. There's no access panels up there. So I'm gonna put, I think I got, what is it, Sea View? What did we get? I think I got an access port that I ordered. I don't have it here. It's a Sea View port, I think, and it's a certain type. It has gaskets on both sides, and it has a stud plate that you cut a 4-inch hole. The access cover panel is 6 inches, so you have an inch of stick out on either side, and the backside folds that has the stud in it goes in there, and you pull it through the holes, and then you put another gasket on this side, the cover plate, and then you tighten it down. Doing it that way makes it leak resistant, and that was the best one on the market that I could find. Every tank place that I talked to or researched, they all pretty much use that one if it has to go on the side. Obviously top would be preferred, but I don't have that option. So now we're down here trying to figure out where I'm going to put the access panel. Over here, right where the P is, there's a baffle. As far as we can tell, there's only one baffle in here, right dead center, but you never know what's in a tank. It can have baffles that are not, only attached at the top and bottom. I can't really knock on the top and bottom to figure out if there's baffles in there. But I also have this front area here, which would give me enough access to put the plate in there as well. So, and I have to get access at the front because that's where the pickup tube is. So I might have to put an access panel here and an access panel way back there on either side of the baffle to clean it out properly. But for now, I just want to open up one side and see what I got. So we are selecting where to put it. I would like to go there, but actually it's going to be very hard to get my head in there and get my arms in there because we've got engine components right in the way. But over here, I've got a lot of room right here. Not a lot of room, I got a decent enough amount of room. Right, nothing's in my way, so I think I'm going to put the, and I've got probably 8 or 9 inches there between the wood support and the edge right here of the panel. So the plan is I'm going to drill an exploratory hole. Let me get my pointer here. I'm going to drill an exploratory hole. First I'm going to mark with tape where I want the access panel. And then I'm going to mark the center of where I want the access panel. That's where my hole saw is going to start. But just outside of that, probably just above it, I'm going to drill an exploratory hole and use my boroscope to take a look in there to see if there's any surprises for the internal baffling or supporting. And hopefully there is none. And then I can just proceed to drill the actual access port. So that's where we're at. That drum sound right there means there's a lot of resonance in that panel, and right there is no resonance, so pretty sure that there's a baffle. There's also some marks on there that looks like maybe there's some welding there. And then over here too, this is hard to tell. So I can't really tell, but over here it's hard to tell too, just from sound. Over there, it's clearly got the largest area, but I can't drill there because that doesn't help me get to this pickup tube. I have to get to the pickup tube. If I could get over there and drill a hole and I'm happy with it and everything, and the baffle's right in the center and I can't see the pickup tube, that just doesn't help me. So, let me see that one. That one's got a rubber edge to it. It's hard to tell because this has a much smaller surface area, so the resonance is going to be different on that sound than that big open area. So we're just going to go with the exploratory hole right here and see what happens. There's ways to close up an exploratory hole in a fuel tank with sealant and fasteners. That's why I only want one small hole to begin with. So wish us luck. We'll see what happens.
We're going to explore.
We're going to explore. Yeah, alright, here we go. I think this is where I might put it, right around here. You can see I've got some room on either side. It's not a lot of room, but I have to be careful not to get too close to this. But it's only going to stick out an inch farther on either side. And we've got about 2 inches here. Maybe a little more than 2, and also I could notch that. Well, it'd be better to get close to the wooden support because I could do something about that more than I can the edge of the tank. So I'm gonna put it somewhere right around here, and then mark it up because I got the green tape on there, and then make some centers, and then my drill. Matter of fact, that see the bigger hole right there, dead center. I think I'm gonna mark that as my exploratory hole. So, here you go. Alright, so this is where the hole saw is going to be. This is going to be my exploratory hole. If I'm happy with when I go in here, drill this hole, then I will drill the hole dead center on there, and the hole saw will not interfere with my exploratory holes.
Hi, nerd.
Yeah.
You having fun so far?
Not really. If this works out, though, I will be happy to have inspection panels in my tank. Yeah. They kind of need it. So, anyways, this is like 70 bucks on Amazon. Let's see what we got. I gotta clean this off a little bit. So, now the hard part about boroscoping a tank is that it's all shiny in there. Okay, there's the baffle. See how the corners are cut out? That's the baffle that we were looking at and tapping.
On the left hand?
No, straight in the back. See, that looks like the back of the tank, but it's not. That's the baffle. So, and there is the pickup tube leading right down into the corner. So we're going to go towards that. I just want to see. There's a little bit of fuel down there. Actually, there's like a whole bunch of sludge, I think. So that's good. We got nothing in here. Nothing blocking us from drilling this access panel. I didn't have anything from blocking me from doing it on the side either, but I think this was going to be a better spot. Let's, there's the top. That's the fitting.
That's the pickup tube?
Yeah. And I'm going to go all the way down. And you can see that's where it picks up. So, there's still a little bit of fuel in there. Now, there's no sump on this thing. Kind of looks like there is one in that picture. There's still a little bit of fuel. There's some sludge and some junk, but it doesn't look as horrible. Well, that's actually at the very bottom of the tank. That is right here. That's right. So there is the pickup tube. So that is right here. Maybe bent a little bit, but that's basically right at the bottom corner right there. So, still a little bit of fuel in there. See, there's that dark colored stuff. I don't know what that is. That's the kind of stuff that's going to have to be cleaned out. But it's not as bad as I thought, but it is bad enough to where, alright, I'm not going to get the boroscope wet. We're just going to drill our hole. So you can see, it doesn't have to be perfect where I marked it, but I just wanted a general area. So this is going to be the 4-inch hole, and again the plate is 6 inches, so it's going to come out another inch, and between the outer perimeter and this there will be additional holes that go around. That's where the gasket goes. So after looking at what we saw, I think everything's going to be okay drilling it here. And I want it a little bit higher up. I could drill it down here and it would be easier to clean everything down here, but really you want it as high as you can put it and still be able to clean. So we're only just a little bit to get your arm in there and get some stuff cleaned out, or some kind of equipment or something down there, because if you put it down here, it's going to have the most pressure on it. It's not that much different, but it could be enough. So here we go. This thing is brand new. This is a Milwaukee dozer blade. It's really good. Here we go.
Oh boy.
Now, if this was a gas tank, gasoline, I would have more reservations about doing this. Although it's aluminum, it's not metal, you're not going to make sparks, but still, diesel and jet fuel, it's just not going to ignite. It's very hard to ignite, put it that way. And now we got a good look.
You want to put the camera in there?
Yes. Oh wow.
You actually get to see what's inside of the fuel.
Okay, so it's, I think, yeah, I think it's gonna be all right. Let me see if I can, I don't know how to get the, alright, so we're about ready to vacuum out the tank. There's quite a bit of fuel in there. I'll put some pictures up of it. It's hard to get a flashlight and that camera in there, but so this is a hose that I have going down through the deck fill and into the tank, and I grabbed it out of our 4-inch hole that we drilled, and I'm about to stick it back in there, but I got to get back about 3 feet into the tank. So I've got these fiberglass rods, and this is basically going to be our vacuum. We're going to try to get as much out. And you'll see outside there is a diesel pump that's pumping into a 5-gallon bucket. So I probably got about 2 gallons, maybe a gallon and a half that I got to get out. But I'm going to try to use this to vacuum it out so I don't have to go in and get the schmutz out later. So, alright, let me get in position and turn it on.
You want me to go turn on the pump?
Yes.
Okay. You're all set?
Yep.
So my job is to
Okay, Lisa, shut it off.
Okay. My job is to turn this pump on, which is what we use to polish the fuel. And it is hooked up over there in the fuel fill. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this on. You feel the fuel coming out.
Everything's working perfect.
Alright. I want to keep an eye on it.
Yes.
So just shut it off and it starts to sputter?
Yes, or if it gets too full, but it's going down real fast.
Okay.
almost empty. Okay.
Shut it off?
Yep.
Okay. Get all the schmutz. What are you doing in there, nerd?
I am just gonna get the hose out so I can get the clamps off, and then take this back out from the top.
Nerd, you like cut your arms.
Huh?
You cut your arms a little bit.
Where?
Back of your elbow.
That's okay.
You got all the schmutz out?
Well, I gotta wipe the rest out, but
Yeah.
a bag of tools. So obviously this is gonna go here, but I don't know where the hole is when I cover this up. So what I want to do is line this up, mark the outside, so that when I do put the plate up there, I do want my little sticker to be straight up and down. So those are about like that level. Well, I'm gonna center punch these using a special punch that is the same diameter as the holes, because, let me take this out of my mouth. So you don't want these holes to be walled out, and you want to transfer the holes from this plate to the tank very, very accurately, because when the gasket's in there, part of the sealing is when it cinches everything up, it expands a little bit to, you know, to scrunch up against the threads in the holes. So I just want to make sure that I transfer the holes from this plate to the tank very accurately, and then drill them accurately, so when we go back in, they don't have to be all walled out. So it's not close tolerance or anything, but it does need to be pretty accurate. Okay, where's my bag? You get these are all different diameter sizes, so that when I stick this in this hole, it is centered. And then I just tap it all the way around with my hammer.
It's just like a guide for you to...
It is, I'm making this a guide, yes, because I want my holes to be centered. Otherwise, you mark it with a marker, or you know, you get a center punch and you get it about where you think, and you can get it pretty accurate that way. But I want this to have the highest possibility of succeeding. Perfect. This is soft aluminum, so. So now I can take this back off. I got all the holes or the pilot's transferred. Now I can drill the first hole.
You need this?
I need my drill, which is going to be a 1/8 drill bit.
Put the bolts next to that bar.
What?
Is that too close to that bar? The support?
No, it'll be fine. Okay, that looks good.
That's good.
These are all 3/8. Chuck's getting old on this drill. Alright, let me just see where we are. So, this is why it's patented, because this fold goes in there, and then I just want to see if it's going to fit. So then, these may not be drilled perfectly, so
I think they are perfect, nerd.
perfect.
Good job.
I'm not going to put the gasket on just yet. So.
That looks pretty good.
There we go. Okay, so that's how it's going to look, minus the gasket that's under there and the bolts and nuts. Now I got to clean out the tank, so that was the hard part. You can see there is some slop in the holes. Whoops, sorry. You can see there's some slop in the holes. So the holes are not close tolerance. The gaskets will make up the difference and seal the areas that need to be sealed. The trick to this system is that the backs of these are studs going through the backing plate, and they are sealed into the metal ring. I can see those are close tolerance. I think they're pressed in, probably along with some Loctite. Okay. Yeah. All right. I gotta clean up these holes. I need like a countersink. Hopefully I have one. I'm pretty sure I do. I need to countersink both sides. All right. Hopefully you can see that. So I got all these holes deburred, inside and out. Not only this big hole, but each one of these holes. I think it'll be just fine. So now I got to clean out the inside of this tank a little bit, and and once it's cleaned out, I'll go in with some rags and some more wipes and some alcohol, clean it out, and then I'll clean this with alcohol inside and out, and then basically we'll close it up. And they call out for no sealant on this stuff. So right now I've got fuel absorbent pads up there that need to get out. I should have been soaking up the last little bits with fuel. Probably not a good idea to put my Garmin watch up there. Just get my hand in there. I just want to wipe up whatever I can with these old rags. And actually scraping, right in the corner there is a little bit of sludge. I'm going to scrape it in my direction. It's very hard, like clay almost. You can see like that. Yes, stainless brush clamp to these fiberglass rods. Again, these fiberglass rods are for running wire, but they come in handy for lots of different things. So essentially I'm going to be squirting a little bit of alcohol in there. If you're working with alcohol in a confined space, let me see the alcohol. Make sure you're careful with it because it is flammable. We use it a lot in aviation, and I remember about 10 years ago we were cleaning out some floorboards in a semi-confined space. Somebody turned power on the airplane, and it was a nice bright blue flash in the floorboards of an airplane. Of course, it went out very quickly, so it's not too bad, but you do got to be careful about too much alcohol in confined spaces. Alright, see if we can get this. Alright, I don't know if you can see that. That pickup tube is a problem. I don't know if you can see that. But it is almost sealed up against. I wonder if that's part of the problem to begin with. That pickup tube is practically sealed against the bottom. So I'm going to work on getting it a little bit cleaner than that, but I'm not going to be able to get it too much cleaner. I got all the metal shavings out, and there's some residue on some of the areas. But most of the chunks are out. I'm going to have to make sure I cycle the filters. So there's the pickup. It was cut at a slight angle, and I just cut it at a dual angle, like a bird's beak. The angle that it was cut at is perfectly riding against the angle of almost making a perfect seal. So I'll take a picture with the camera on what this looks like. It's just touching the bottom. And it's got about maybe 3/8 of an inch of an opening on either side now. I think I like that better, so I just got to clean out right underneath that, wipe out right underneath it, and then I'm going to call that good enough. I'm going to have to rely on the filter to get the remainder of the stuff. Cleaning the surface inside and out. Just the inside, so I definitely need to clean it till it's. This is where the seal is going to ride, so it has to be cleaned. Once I clean this, I'll let it dry, and then let me clean these holes out too. Now comes the fun part, and I need a socket and a ratchet. Hold on a second. One that's gonna fit that. Should be 1/2 inch, I think. Yeah, definitely a long socket. Yeah, and a ratchet. I think you can use 1/4 inch, the small one. Alright. Let's do this again. Now this fits on very tight. It's a little bit hard to get on. extensions, yeah.
Tough nerd. You want me to film? You good?
Yeah, we're good.
It's DIY. So it's not going to be easy doing it all the time. Here. I can hand it to you now.
Alright.
Make it easier.
Yeah.
I can put those on there. You want the long one or the short one?
No, I don't need either one really. There's regular washers and then there's split washers. So I need, right now I need a split washer. Now I need a split washer and another bolt, or nut, I'm sorry.
Is it split washer?
Yep.
Try spacing the right way.
What's that?
The nut.
It is.
It's got a different configuration, I think. One side to the other.
Should be the same.
What do you need?
I need regular washer, split washer, and nut.
Here's a nut. What do you need?
Same thing.
Split?
Regular.
Regular? Give me that. And
Split. Nut.
We're just going by sensory.
Split. Nut. Now they don't give you a torque.
No?
No.
Didn't it come with a piece of paper?
Yes, it says no torque. It just says tighten.
How do you know how to torque?
Well, you don't want to crush the gasket. But you want to get... Actually, let me loosen that again.
Nerd, is this DIY?
I guess so. We're doing it ourselves.
This is definitely DIY.
I mean, this would be something nice to pay somebody for, but it's going to cost you an arm and a leg because there's quite a bit of labor to it.
Oh, yeah.
And liability. So if they have rework, you know.
Looks good, nerd. Oh, I see. Now I'm seeing it. Now I see how the bottom of the tank is kind of angled down.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I guess because of the angle of the...
Well, that's why all the fuel goes down to this corner, and that's why the pickup's there too.
Yeah, it's a sharp angle.
Yeah.
I mean, not too sharp, but...
Yeah.
You would,
Hugs the hull of the boat.
right, it's what you would anticipate it would be, the shape of the hole.
I think that might be it. So, it's in. It's tight. I could tighten it some more. But really, on fuel and gaskets and rubber gaskets, sometimes too tight is bad. So, I think this should do it. Now I just gotta clean up. Yeah, so it's this far from the top. These are 110 gallon tanks, and I don't anticipate filling, you know, all the way to the top most of the time. I wouldn't want to. So hopefully, if I put it down here, it'd have more pressure on it. But This is the top third, I guess.
It looks good, man.
Yeah, so hopefully the design of this is good. C-built, patent number, blah, blah, blah. And hopefully that's it. Let me get the hell out of this hole. I gotta vacuum.
Oh, nerd.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing this.
Yeah. I gotta stretch my leg. Alright, one final video. So there's the fuel tank. Goes back there. All the way up under here. This is the area that I chose to put the access panel because back there is just no good. Back there is a little bit of space, but you have to get to it from not a good spot, and that's not where the pickup is. Pickup was right here, and there's the panel with enough space to work right next to the pickup. Now, next thing is I have to clean this ray core out. You can see how cloudy it is compared to this one. This one's never been selected before. So that was trying to pull out from the port tank as I was trying to clean it out. So I will have to clean that out, change the filter, probably get down there and clean out that bowl. I want it to look like this one, brand new, so we can start fresh. Right now on this side tank, we have about 65 gallons. So I'm gonna put probably 30 gallons in this tank right here, and then I'm gonna transfer all of the fuel from the starboard tank to the port tank, so we have a full tank of fresh fuel, clean fuel. And obviously I'll do that through a filter, and then with this tank full I can leak check this one. I don't want to fill this one because if I have to transfer the fuel out, I don't want to pay to get rid of it again. If I put 30 gallons in this one and transfer the 65 out of the other one, then it'll have about 95 gallons in here. Should be above that that panel. But if there's a problem, I can just transfer it right back out and not have to dispose of any more fuel, and the fuel should be perfectly usable. And then I guess we're pretty much done. I just got to clean this area a little bit more, wipe it down. I really need to repaint all this stuff, but that's okay. All right. Yeah.